Welcome to the NFL Trades Podcast. I'm here with Dom again. Dom, say hi.
Hi.
Okay. But welcome to the podcast. And I truly believe I want to keep doing this, but we'll see where it takes us. Hopefully, when I graduate in December, I get my own little situated area where I can do podcasts
for free
because people have been requesting me to do stuff like this, but I just don't have time to do it.
Not.
Well, thanks. Thanks for. Anywho, we're gonna start. We're gonna do a little week 4 preview. I have all the games popped up, and I'm just gonna talk about
Every
them.
single one.
Every single one.
Well, we already missed one, even though we talked about it.
Which one did we miss?
Detroit versus Green Bay, but we already talked about it last podcast.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we did talk about a little bit about the Detroit Packers game, just a little bit. I mean, it doesn't. Typically, when I look at Week 4 reviews, it's just Sunday's matchups. Maybe a little bit about Monday, but it's typically just Sunday. So we can just go into Sunday's games. So first London game. How do you feel about NFL sending two kind of mediocre teams, two decent teams, but not playoff worthy teams to London? How do you feel about them sending two decent teams instead of these huge, marketable powerhouse teams, offensive juggernaut, defensive juggernaut teams? How do you feel like we're not sending that to a global market or to a global, in Frankfurt, Germany, we have Kansas City and Miami playing each other, which is two big teams right now. But these two teams that are going to London this weekend are not that at all. So do you feel like that's a good thing? Because I know with London we've already sent some good teams, but in the past few years it just hasn't been great teams going to London. So how do you feel about that? Do you think we should send the good teams to London every year? Or
I mean, I feel like they don't really even need to send any.
What do you mean by that?
Because there's no teams over there.
No, but what they're trying to do is a global market strategy in which they can reach a wider audience and really push the game of football outside of the U.S. market, right? And so by doing that, they have these football games and show these Europeans and
Who's
even
being?
some. They're trying to promote the game of football to foreign countries that don't watch football. They don't understand the concept. They just see it as an American's game, but they're trying to make it so it's more than just America's game. And so that's the whole goal here is, okay, come to this football game in one of your favorite stadiums where you watch football or soccer every so often, and come and watch America's game and see. And that's just created. I mean, I could tell you, I've gotten so many direct messages from people outside of America that are interested in football, and it's awesome to see. And that truly is the product of what NFL is trying to accomplish, especially the international marketing committee or whatever their team is called. But they're definitely trying to push the game of football across the entire globe. And we're seeing that now they're placing games more than just Mexico City in Spain, or not Spain, in Mexico. And pushing games not just in Wembley Stadium in London. And now we're seeing Frankfurt, Germany. I can't remember there's another country they're playing in, I believe. I can't remember. Oh, I think they're playing in another city in Germany. So they're trying to slowly push football. I mean, next 10 years we could see them playing in a Middle Eastern, like maybe Dubai or something, like something crazy like that. We could see that. Them trying to push the game of football everywhere. Yeah, I mean, there's so many possibilities with that. I mean, I don't know where they go next. I think I've heard different places they're thinking about going to, but the idea is they push that narrative that it's more than just an American's game. Like it can be played anywhere else, and they're just trying to interest people into the game to grow it and develop it. That's what I'm saying. Do we want to have those better teams to show, how good the game of football can be at such a high level? Like, would you rather have that than, maybe like some mediocre teams that are just, trying to get to the playoffs, versus let's show like the best teams, show what real football is. Like, what do you think on that? Like, does that matter, or?
I feel like I really don't like them, like sending teams outside of the U.S. like other than preseason, because then that's taking away from the fans, like in the cities.
Yeah, I never thought about that, because it is considered a regular season game that could have been held because there is a home team here. I don't remember which team. I think it's Jaguars that are home team, right? And so that's taking a game from Jacksonville. Like, that is a whole game where fans, especially season ticket holders, could have went to. But
so how does that work for season ticket holders?
Yeah, I do wonder if, okay, you can still go to the game, but you have to fly to London or
spend
Germany.
Thousands of dollars.
Yeah. So I do wonder if that is the case, if they can go. Like, that is a great trivial question. Like, could I go to a game if I have season tickets, even if it's in London or Germany or Spain or Mexico or wherever the game's being played?
Yeah, that's why I feel like that'd be a better thing for them to do, like
in the preseason.
Because games really don't matter.
Right.
I mean, I guess if you're gonna argue,
they don't make that much money on preseason games either.
Well, that, and they're not like always playing their starters, so like maybe they're thinking it's not gonna be as marketable outside.
Right, and that's the one thing that's what I'm saying. It goes back to that question is, do we want to see the best players being played in outside to have a better, what's the word I'm looking for? Better representation of the game of football if we show them the best players. And if we're playing in preseason, then it's going to be some of the worst players, right? So then it's going to be a worse representation. And that's just what I'm saying is, like, yeah, you're right. Like, and you keep going outside of the question, but I like it because it really does bring up a conversation that really isn't talked about. Like, you're taking away from the fans that are paying some of their hard-earned money through these season tickets just so you can have a game outside of the country. But why don't you just create like a sub-league? I mean, they're making money out so crazy that they would be able to invest, and allocate some of their money towards creating leagues outside of this country. And maybe that's the future plan, right? This might just be an introductory phase that they're in to introduce football. Because here's the thing. When we go back to NBA, right? Or not NBA. When we go back to American basketball being some of the dream teams in, like, back in the day, we go back to these guys were dominating other countries. Like, it wasn't even fair, because it's just like a lot of the America's basketball in America was just so much more prominent than it is in any other country. And it comes back to, well, they had time to develop, and they're developing, and there's more camps, there's more, retreatments, there's more, all this like training that they receive, and more medical, stuff going on, and just lots of advancement improvements in these other countries, and it comes to a point where they're getting better and better and better. But I feel like that's what they're trying to foster with these other countries, and they're trying to do that with football so that they can have a league outside of this country, outside of America. But they feel like they can't, like they're not there yet. They have to have camps. NFL plays 60s. Just like stuff like that outside of the country so that these kids can get interested and show them the game of football. Not necessarily have a league where they're playing in it, but show them the game of football, and mostly the kids. And I feel like that's what they need to do better. I don't know if they're doing it as well, but market it more towards the kids that are growing up ready to play football, or just like athletic kids that are just playing other sports and like, oh, here's this another sport you can try out and play. That's how they have to do it. And I feel like I don't feel like they're doing that good of a job of doing that, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is something they're doing that, but I feel like they're just marketing to the entirety of the country, like just the whole, like all of Germany, all of, like, it's not like specific demographics, right? So that's kind of what it comes down to. I truly believe that they're in an introductory phase, trying to introduce, here's the game of football. But you're right. I feel like in the future, once they're done introducing the game of football, and it might not be like, they might always be in an introductory phase because they might always be looking for other markets and other countries to market to, so that they can introduce the game of football to a wide span of people. And who knows, they might not try to hit all the countries, that like all the bigger countries. They might not try to do that. That might not be their end goal, but they have a goal. They have a promise of what they're trying to, succeed in, and maybe they do get there. But you're right. Like it does. That takes away a couple of games. It's not just like, okay, here's one London game. It's getting more and more. Like there wasn't Germany or Mexico City that long ago. It was literally just, okay, here's 1 or 2 London games, and there you go. That's it for the year. But now it's getting to a point where they're expanding a lot. And I think there was other countries that they were like, they already have plans of playing games in. Like I think Italy is one, but I definitely could look it up right now. But like, what do you think? Like, is there another way they can introduce the game of football better? Like something that they can market the game of football to different countries instead of having their regular season games being played there?
I mean, I feel like preseason, there's 3 preseason games, right?
Right.
So you could just do more teams outside during preseason.
That's what, so like, I know what NBA does is they have during preseason, they have a couple of foreign teams play against their NBA teams, and they have the NBA teams fly down to these respective countries and play in those against those teams from those countries. And it really shows like how good of our NBA teams are. Like, yeah, like America's no longer the best place or produces the best basketball players. That's no longer just the case. Like, that's not like it used to be. Like that was 100% right. Like that was there. You couldn't argue it. But now it's very debatable. What country produces the best basketball players in the world? But now it comes down to, okay, but NBA has the best players in the world, and that is without a doubt 100% true. It's now the best pro league in the world. So you can call the NBA Finals a world championship. And there was a whole controversy. There was a track athlete that argued, hey, I like the NBA. I enjoy it. But what they're doing is not world championship. What I'm doing here at, the Olympics or these world events, these world track events, world track and field events, is world championship worthy because I'm going up against someone that actually gets to represent their country. Whereas like in the NBA, not every country is represented. It's just America. But that's true and also not true because you also have people coming from different countries coming to play in the NBA because that is the prominent league. That is the best league in the world. And these players would rather play here in America, play for the best league, than play in their home countries because they feel like it's the most competitive, most high-level league that you can play in because you are playing against the best talent in the world. there's rarely any time where you see someone super talented that is more talented than anybody else in the NBA, and they're playing in a foreign league, not ready to go to the NBA. Like we just saw Victor Wembanyama. Do you know who that is?
No.
So it was the definitely not 6, 7-3 or 5-7, somewhere in that range. But he can dribble like Kyrie, shoot like Kevin Durant, and it's like this dude has all the talents in the world. But he played foreign growing up because you can play at a young age. But his plan is to play in the NBA, and that's what he did. He became the number 1 draft pick by landslide. Like it was guaranteed he'd be the number 1 pick, which we don't really see. And like that's how much of a generational talent he is. But like the plan is to always go play in the NBA. It's always to play with. I mean, it's always to when you are going to a different level, you are the highest level at which is possible. You are going to go play in NBA, and that's what I'm saying is like we could have these teams in the NFL where they're playing, they're playing in these small leagues outside like Canada CFL. Like there's nothing that says the best guy in the CFL can't just come over to the NFL. Like that's literally their goal. They're playing in the CFL because they're not as good. Let's just put it how it is. That's why they're playing in the CFL. If they're better, they would play in the NFL. They would not be staying in the CFL. Same with the XFL, same with the USFL, which those two just collided. So that was an agreement that just happened. So in spring, we're going to have probably a bigger league. So more teams going up against each other, probably some more talent going up against each other. But it just comes down to they're not playing in these countries because they want to play there. They're playing in those countries because they're not good enough. And that's literally what it comes down to, because America's NBA and NFL are the best leagues in their respective sports in the world. So the idea is we make these small leagues in different countries, but I think they just want to introduce it, and that's what NBA and NFL are both doing. But NBA already has, because basketball's already been around in the globe forever, but NFL football has not, and that's football is in their introductory phase, where NBA has kind of already been there, done that. That's already been a thing. But NFL is literally really trying to show what the game of football is about through these different countries, and it just really comes down to how do they want to present and represent and have their game represented, and that's how they seem fit, is to represent or to present the game of football by showing regular season games. But that's what I'm saying. Like they have to present. I feel like they have to, if they're going to do that, they have to present their teams, the best teams. But I feel like what they're doing is, see, like with Germany, I think this is the first year with Germany. Do you? I think so. I can't remember if they played last year. It's definitely new. It is definitely new. Let me see. But like Germany, they're bringing the Chiefs and the Dolphins. Like that's 2 powerhouse franchises, and I feel like what they're doing is, okay, we're going to a new country. Here's the best teams. Here's some of the best teams. But as we go and as the years continue, we're just going to give you different teams and show you the different levels of the NFL and how different it is and how like diverse the groups are, right? And I feel like that might be really good or it could be really bad. And what do you think? Do you think they should be showing the high levels all the time? Like the highest of level?
I feel like showing any amount is going to be good.
Okay.
I mean,
say that's
as long, because like even if it's like 2 bad teams, but like I don't know, because if you have 2 good teams who have 2 good defenses, it's going to be like a low scoring game, and I feel like it's more fun to watch better offensive football than defensive football, like high scoring games.
right. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see how this game turns out. Both defenses have been struggling a little bit. I think Falcons might actually be playing a little bit better than what we expected, but they're still on. It's still. I mean, they picked up some good guys in free agency. Old Bud Dupree from the Steelers and Calais Campbell, who's been a rival to the Steelers for a while now in Baltimore. But like and Jesse Bates also played for. So they picked a lot of AFC North guys up because they feel like the defenses in the AFC North are always been resilient and always showed that grit. And so they made those pickups this offseason, and their veteran presences have already shown to be worthy. And then they got Grady Jarrett back there. They got Ellis, who's been playing really good. But I think it's very rough because the pass rush just hasn't been there for either team. But their offenses are up and down, very up and down. I mean, we saw the Jaguars lighten it up against the Colts week 1, and now it's just the last 2 weeks against a rough Texans defense and a rough and the Chiefs defense isn't that amazing. I mean, they're one of the fastest defense in the league, but it's not like they were that amazing. And I guess it just comes down to we'll have to see what goes on this week because I feel like they're very even in a sense. I mean, I know Falcons are 2-1, but it wasn't like they were doing anything credible offensively to win those games against the Packers and I forget who they played week 2. I think it was the Panthers. Could be wrong. Yes, because Bryce Young, because they were intercepting. Yeah, because Jesse Bates got 2 interceptions on Bryce Young. So Panthers, Packers, yeah. It's not like they did anything credible to win those games. So we'll have to see how those games work out. But I just read something that said the Jaguars are playing them two weeks in a row in London. What do you think about that? Having to stay in London for a week to play football. What do you think about that?
They're playing the same team?
No, so they're playing the Falcons this week, and then they're playing the Bills the week after that. And they're staying in London, but they're moving to a different stadium. What do you think about that?
Are they like a home team one game and away
Yes.
team the other game? Okay.
But having to stay there, like it's not like they're going back home.
Yeah.
Is that because it's only them doing that? It's not like, okay, here's the 2 teams that are going to be doing that, and maybe the NFL says, hey, they're going to be doing it this year, because I mean in this article it says they became a staple of the league's international slate, so they are the international team, right? But do you want the Jaguars representing like the NFL? Like that's what it's saying is like, here's our team that we feel represents our brand, our game of football. Like, do you want that?
They don't have much of an option though, because like we talked about, like you don't want to do that too much because you'd be taking away from the fans. So you couldn't do that with a team like the Steelers, because even when the Steelers are in an away game, they still pack the stands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that just shows you. I mean, like fandom in itself and how big certain teams' brands are to where they can capture a lot of people outside of just that local area. Like, I mean, if you're a local, you're going to root for the team typically that you have grown up near. But when some of these other teams can reach a wider audience and really promote their brand, and yeah, you can say bandwagon and stuff, but there is people that will just join the bandwagon because it's just the brand strength is just there, and the brand marketing, advertising, whatever you want to call it, just promoting their team and how they benefit, and it's amazing. And then I mean, we know a lot of Steelers fans. Their parents were probably Steelers fans, and their parents probably left Pittsburgh because of the steel industry dying off, and that social changes and cultural changes that I mean can affect what fandom you are a part of. But at the end of the day, a lot of these teams, a lot of these brands, I mean, like Cowboys were America's team for a while because their brand was there, and that's why they have a lot of primetime games nowadays. They've had this contract where they're just getting a lot of primetime games because they just were the team to watch. Didn't matter what team you rooted for. They were like this is what I'm saying is the NFL, what Jaguars are to the NFL right now when it coincides with international are what the Cowboys are at a domestic level, right? Cowboys are what the Jaguars are, but at a domestic level because their brand is so strong within America. I mean, you see how many Cowboys hatred there is? Like, they're the laughing stock. Like, they are the literal, not laughing stock. I mean, they're the laughing stock, but in like a good way because they're just always criticized. Like, you see how much Trump and Biden and all these guys are criticized because they're public figures. Publicity is just immense. It's incredible. So they're going to get more criticism. Same with Cowboys. They're going to get more criticism because they're just their brand, their figureness or whatever you call it is just stronger than everybody else's, and that's what gives them that leverage. And it really shows. Like, and I don't feel like the Jaguars brand is that way. But is there a team you believe, like, do you think the Steelers would be a good national team? Like, I think that, especially for Mexico, because I feel like the Steelers do bring in a lot of Mexican fans.
Wasn't there something with the Steelers in Ireland?
Oh, yes. So I think we are going to be the team that is situated with Ireland and be in charge. Like, they want – see, and I think that's part of their agenda, the NFL's agenda, is to have, like, kind of like have these countries rooting for specific teams. And I feel like I think Ireland, I think that's Steelers, and I think that goes back to the Rooney thing, and that's why they're picking Ireland. But they want Ireland to be like, okay, let's make Ireland mostly Steelers fans. Let's make and this is I don't know if Germany is what team they'd be rooting for, but let's just make Germany Arizona Cardinals fans. You see, like, they're just trying to facilitate these brands within these different countries. And I think Jaguars are kind of like the London team. You know, that's kind of what we're getting at, and that's why they're having them play twice in England. And we'll have to see what they plan on doing in the future years. I want to see this international schedule. So Dolphins and Chiefs are not the only teams playing in Frankfurt, Germany. A week after that, they have another game in Frankfurt. So they did schedule the game, so it's not like, oh, you're going to play in London at the beginning of the year, and then someone else is going to play London at the end of the year. And so that London, like, no, it's like back to back to back in London, and then back to back in Germany. So you have the Colts and the Patriots in Germany, which are two strong brands in the NFL, two big markets. So you have two big markets, not necessarily the best teams, but two good markets, two rising markets in the Chiefs and Dolphins, playing in Germany. And it's pretty cool what the NFL is trying to accomplish here. But I don't see anything about playing in any other countries. I didn't even see anything about Mexico. I don't know if they're playing in Mexico this year. But anywho, I mean, that's pretty much the summary of, like, what's going on internationally with the NFL. We can move on to the Dolphins-Bills game here. That one's going to be weird, huh?
That's going to be a good game.
It should be a really good game. I mean, we have one of the best. Do we believe the Dolphins have the best offense in the league? I mean,
they got Tua Tugboat Viagra.
I knew you'd bring that up. Oh, my gosh. But, like, do we believe that the Dolphins are truly the best offense in the league? Like, what do you think? Do you think they are the best team or best offensive team in the league?
I mean, I would like to say they did drop 70 points last week, but
right.
Then again, they were playing one of the worst teams
right.
in the NFL right now.
Yeah, so
that's a hard comparison to make.
That was the tough thing. So with the Broncos last week, and now they get the Bears, so we'll have to see. And typically, teams that get destroyed, they win the next week. Typically, I don't know what it is, but it's like you get so to a lower point, you only can go up from there, and that's
they probably get tormented at practice.
I think they'll destroy the Bears, but we'll have to see. And hopefully not for the Bears' sake because they're struggling too, which is crazy. We have two 0-3 matchups, which is amazing. And we'll get to the other one after this, actually. But
that means there's going to be 2 0-4 teams.
But, yeah, I mean, they struggled. Vance Joseph he was the head coach for the Broncos before, and that failed. But we felt that, okay, he's going to be in the defensive coordinator position, and he'll thrive. He's just worrying about coordination, not actually, like, coaching. But it might not be the case, and a lot of Broncos fans were calling for him to be fired after that game, because if you get 70 points dropped on you, you probably should be fired because you're not doing something right. But to be fair, they were missing a lot of safeties there. So, I mean, and Tyreek Hill is, if you don't have a safety for Tyreek Hill, you are going to get killed. But the run game, the run defense was pitiful. And I just don't understand what and then it got to a point where the players were just not giving any effort. Like, it was incredulous. Like, it was, why was that happening? But now you have this top offense going up against one of, if not the best passing defense in the league. And they're division rivals. And what did we talk about in the last one is, if you're playing against a division rival, you can't just do what you've been doing on every other slate. You have to mix it up, make it different, do stuff creative, because they're going to know your playbook. They play you twice a year, every year.
There's more emotion in those games, too.
There's more emotion, more motivation, more what's another word? Man, I can't think of it. Like, I can't think of another word. But the idea is, this game's not going to be easy for either team. Doesn't matter how good they are. Doesn't matter if the Bills struggled against the Jets defense. And like, who was going to call the Bills, our Jets defense doing that? Who's going to say, oh, Aaron Rodgers is hurt. Doesn't matter. Jets are their defense is still going to hold up, and doesn't matter how good Zach Wilson does. When he comes in, it's just they're still gonna win the game. Bills are gonna struggle against that defense, because in the next week, Cowboys did not struggle against that defense, but then they struggle against a Cardinals defense in the red zone, right? So it really makes you think, like, division games just create this, and this being a division game and being the best offense against one of the best defenses really makes you think anything can happen in this game. And even though they looked unstoppable last week. Unstoppable. And that's just the parody of it. That's literally the parody of it. The Broncos looked like utter garbage. Didn't look like an NFL team. They looked like a college team going up against one of the best teams in the league. And yet, next week, they're going to just make the Bears probably look like a college team too. So, I mean, it really goes to show. And then, like, we saw the Bears beat the 49ers, who would end up going to the NFC Championship, and the Bears beat the 49ers. The Bears were the worst team in the NFL by the end of the season. It just it blows your mind what some of these teams can accomplish, even if they don't, like, in college. Rarely do you ever see upset. I mean, it's rare to see upsets, right? If they're a ranked team, they're going to probably win. And you see so many undefeated teams. Whereas, like, in the NFL, if you see an undefeated team, whoa, wow, that's crazy. Like, we've only seen, like, Patriots, Dolphins, like, those two teams, like, go undefeated in the regular season. And then Panthers almost did it on their Super Bowl run. Like, it just rarely ever happens, right? And even the best teams in the NFL will lose 3 or 4 games. Like, it's almost guaranteed every year that the number 1 seeds will lose a couple of games. And they might not be to a team that's up there with them. It might be to a team like the Bears or the Texans or the Cardinals or like any of these lower end teams that aren't perceived as, okay, yeah, they can put up a fight against them. Like, who was betting the Cardinals against the Cowboys last week? Who in their right mind was doing that, right? Who would have done that? You're seeing the Cowboys light up on all cylinders, and the Cardinals, low end roster, on paper, not that good. Young guys, no experience, no veteran, low veteran amounts. But that game went how it went, and we know how it resulted. And the Cardinals pulled through, and the coach pulled through, and it was a great offensive from a Josh Dobbs, who was not even going to he was going to be a third quarterback for the Browns. And yet now he's just taking this Cardinals team to another level, and it's crazy to see. But we'll have to see how that game goes. But it will be definitely an incredible game. I definitely want to tune into that one. Vikings-Panthers. This is the 0-3 matchup. I think it's crazy to see, and we were talking about this, Kirk Cousins has the most passing touchdowns and the most passing yards in the NFL, and yet struggle with their defense. And it's just, these two defenses just haven't been doing it. I mean, Panthers, at least Brian Burns is doing but they lost both their corners. Safety play's been kind of rough. They lost Shaq Thompson. Just it's been rough. And Bryce Young just hasn't been playing as good as Anthony Richardson or C.J. Stroud, right? And it just, who do you think will come out and honestly, whoever loses this, it has no chance at the playoffs, to be honest. I mean, there's only ever been one team to go 0-4 and actually make the playoffs. So,
I really hope for your dad's sake that the Vikings win.
Mom's sake.
Well, no, your dad's.
Oh,
he has to
yeah.
deal with your mom.
Yeah, we did talk about that. He'll have to deal with her if the Vikings lose. I mean,
yeah, she's not going to be too happy if they lose to an 0-3 team.
She's going to that game.
She is?
She is going to that game in Charlotte.
Charlotte.
So, and they bought these tickets a while ago. So it wasn't like
so they didn't know that
this would be this is like a playoff game.
Battle of the mid teams.
More than mid. I don't know why the Vikings have had faced very very good offenses to start. Bucks were playing better than anyone thought. Wouldn't say very well offenses. They've been facing very good sides of the ball. Like, very good defense in the Bucks, very good offense in the Chargers. I forget who they played week 2. Oh, the Eagles. Yeah. We already know how good the Eagles are. They're, but like, the Panthers haven't been playing anyone crazy, to where it's like, okay, you should be able to win these games, right? And they've just been struggling. Andy Dalton did play good, but they haven't taken that extra step. And I think the Vikings should have this one in the bag. What do you think? Do you think Vikings will win this one? I know you said you want them to win, but do you think they will win? Do you think they have too many good players to where it's like they?
Then again, that doesn't always matter.
Having
better players.
It doesn't. The coaching definitely is very, but I just this coaching hasn't been as good as we wanted it to be with this new coaching staff in Carolina to complement Bryce Young. But Bryce Young is playing in this game, so I wish I had the spreads up. I should probably have the spreads up, but for betting purposes. But next game, Broncos-Bears. We just talked about that. No, back-to-back with 3 matchups. Up. Yeah, you could pull the spreads up. But Broncos and Bears, I mean, it really will come down to which offense plays better. I think the Broncos-Bears game will be like, can Russell Wilson stay away from complacency in the second half and show like what he's shown us with the Seattle teams in like fourth quarter, like God stuff in the fourth quarter, like just everyone feared him in the fourth quarter. If he had the ball and it was in the fourth quarter and they were down on one possession, you were scared. Usually you're up one possession, you're like, oh, what? Okay, they could come back. No, you are scared for your life if they had one possession. Or they were down only one possession and they had the ball. Because you knew Russell Wilson had that dog in him and he could pull that one out like it was nothing.
Let's ride.
Broncos country.
Let's
ride. Say it again.
Let's ride.
Let's ride. But I mean, it's just crazy to me that I don't know. Russell Wilson has been advancing his relationship with Sean Payton. So that could come as we go on, but this whole Sean Payton thing's kind of been rigorous and rigid. Not what we expected from the Super Bowl winner after coming out of retirement. But the Bears, man, on the other side, Eberflus is calling defensive plays this week, so that it may come down to how Broncos offense plays against Eberflus's defense. Eberflus is a defensive mind, so it's not like the loss of Allen Williams is going to be incredible. And that's what he said. He said that himself. That it might not be, he might not have to worry about it, but we'll have to see how good of a defensive coordinator he tends to be, because it will probably come down to how the Broncos offense plays against the Bears defense. And we did see Broncos offense kind of showing some spark early on in that Dolphins game, but then the game slipped away from them, and it just...
No coming back.
Yeah, but, there was good things. Like Marvin Mims was playing amazing, in my opinion, and Courtland Sutton was doing Courtland Sutton things. Russell Wilson looked good at the beginning. He has similar stats to Patrick Mahomes right now. As much as we like to crap on Russell Wilson, he's had his games. It's got to be just more consistency and better decision making from him, and just try to do things that was working for you in Seattle. And that might come down to Sean Payton trying to open things up for him, right? And he's Sean Payton on an offensive mind. Open things up for Breeze, open things up for Alvin Kamara. Found ways to use Taysom Hill a lot and open things up for Michael Thomas. And it just, we're not seeing that in Denver. We're not seeing really that. And they have some of the players. They just have to put it together. Just like the Raiders, they have the players. They just have to put it together. We'll have to see. It might be a poverty bowl, or it might be an actual fun game. We'll have to see. Ravens-Browns, good rivalry game. Who do you think wins this one?
Who'd you say, Browns-Ravens?
Yeah.
Well, I got Lamar Jackson, so I want Ravens to win.
Who do you think will win, though?
Well, Browns are without Nick Chubb now.
Right. So, Ravens, Browns, both with backup running backs. Both, both people that weren't expected to get a lot of snaps are now getting a lot of snaps with Gus Edwards and Ford. And the Browns did bring Kareem Hunt back, so we'll have to see how that works out for them. But Ravens are at a plus 1.5. So that is the spread. So they do expect the Browns to win this one. And I believe that comes down to their defense. Right? Their defense has been playing at an incredible level. I think they are the best defense in the league. You may argue the 49ers have the best defense in the league, but I feel like those two teams are undeniably at 1 and 2, no matter where you put them.
Yeah, I was going to say they lost to the Steelers, but they really lost to the Steelers' defense.
Yeah. If the offense gets going, this team could be scary. I almost bet for you.
Go ahead. Let's see how it ends up.
Yeah, no, I keep screwing up stuff, but
yeah, the Steelers, the defense had 2 scores.
Yeah, 14 points where their offense had 12.
I don't.
The Browns win that game if their offense just plays a little bit better and doesn't turn the ball over. They win that game probably if they have Nick Chubb, because our run defense was struggling. Nick Chubb had 60 yards in the first quarter. But yeah, this Browns team is very promising. Just same with the Ravens, but they just have to limit injuries. Honestly, that's what it's going to come down for these two teams. And that's what's going to come down for the Dolphins and the 49ers. These teams are dominant. They will continue to dominate unless they, have these horrible injuries that we're seeing throughout the league. And that might happen. We might see that. And it's unfortunate, but there might be a world where all these 4 teams are experiencing too many injuries to where they start to struggle, and then you see other teams rise. But hopefully that is not the case. I think the Browns will win this game, so I understand the spread. But it will come down to how Dorian Thompson-Robinson plays, because he will probably play this game. A lot of Browns reporters were talking about how Deshaun Watson was getting limited snaps at practice, and Dorian Thompson-Robinson, which DTR was beloved from his preseason play. So we'll have to see how good he plays. I'm very excited to watch that game, see how good he plays in his first NFL start. He might not start, so I can't sit here and say he will, but I would love to see a start, and I think he actually plays good. I think he facilitates this offense actually a little bit better than Deshaun Watson. But we'll have to see. And if DTR plays good, we could see Deshaun Watson going out somewhere near the end of the season. But which is crazy because of the contract he received, right? It's crazy. These guys that are getting big contracts are not playing good up to the contracts. Joe Burrow got his contract, not playing that good. I feel like Herbert is like the only guy that got a big contract that's playing up to it. Lamar Jackson got that big contract. He's not playing up to the level that he was playing in 2019. Not by that strength at all. I mean, his run game
good last week. 2 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, but that's stat padding.
Yeah.
But
I mean, isn't that what you paid quarterbacks for, to get stats?
That is a big debate. That is a big, it's more to win. Like, it's just the winning aspect. And that's what Russell Wilson had. That's what the Broncos paid him for. That winning aspect. Like, he can win you that game in the fourth quarter. He can do it. A lot of these players just don't have that. And Jordan Love's already getting tested if he has that ability. He did show in that Saints game that he does have that ability, but is it going to come at like an Aaron Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady level? Probably not. We're not going to see that. These clutch quarterbacks, and that's what makes them some of the best quarterbacks of all time, is that they're just clutch, and that's what it comes down to. In the finer moments, in the more prominent moments, are you going to succeed or are you going to fail? And we'll have to see if some of these teams that have players that have got those contracts can live up to that. But I just feel like no one's lived up to their new big contract that they've got. Yeah, I mean, maybe Herbert. He's playing pretty good. And Herbert's one of those guys that's playing good under a bad coach. We talk about how a lot of these good coaches are assisting these QBs where we don't really know how good their skill level is because of how good the coach is. Like, is he that good? How much do we credit the QB versus how much do we credit the coach? But Justin Herbert's been playing with rough coaching, and he's been playing good. Imagine him in 49ers offense or a Dolphins offense. Like, a lot of people are arguing, oh, Tua could be better than Herbert. No, Herbert's the better quarterback. You put him in that Miami Dolphins offense, whole different story, which is crazy. But, I mean, Dolphins think he's, of course, they're going to say he's the MVP. What do you think? Do you think Herbert would play better in that offense? Or do you think it'd be similar? I mean, that QB class is insane. Jordan Love, Herbert, Joe Burrow, Tua. Insane class. I can't remember who else is in that class.
Wait,
There's one more.
Is that
2020.
21?
No, 20.
20?
Yeah, I mean, they were arguing the other day, like, a lot of these court, like, they were like, oh yeah, you could. A lot of people have been saying, okay, Joe Burrow, like, recency bias and everything, but like, oh, QBs.
Need a nap.
Yeah, I'm tired. I mean, so I got this mellow yellow. I'm like, no, it's my.
Does that even have caffeine in it?
Yeah, it does actually.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, I looked at it. I was like,
I thought
gotta make sure it has caffeine. Yeah, there's a lot of sodas you realize don't have caffeine in them.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
I thought that was like a Sprite or.
No. It's more like a Mountain Dew, honestly. Be honest with you, it's got the sugars like a Mountain Dew. 77 grams per serving. Per this one bottle,
Yeah,
just one bottle, 77 grams.
Caffeine.
Isn't that crazy?
Had the electrolyte.
Oh my gosh. They're not sponsored here, so.
Not yet. They're sponsoring our next video.
Yeah. Point it at the camera.
Yeah.
Sponsor. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can't see it because it's white.
Sponsor us.
And it's blurry. Yeah. There it is. There it is. Sponsor our video, please.
Give us money. Or free drinks.
Yeah, I'll take free drinks. They're pretty good if you're a college student and you've been doing some things during the weekend, you know.
Are we gonna go on an electrolyte rant?
Probably not, but
Definitely better than Gatorade
yeah. You
for the
think
next
so?
morning.
Yeah, so if you got a hangover, check out this drink here.
Electrolyte or Body Armor. Body Armor's pretty good too.
Yeah, I think we can turn this into like a healthy, just like a health benefit thing, instead of like a it looks like a full blown sponsorship right now.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's just kind of like, here's this drink that will work for you in the morning.
I don't know if you saw that picture I sent you. Gatorade also has like an electrolyte drink now. Like, even though that's what Gatorade used to be.
Yeah. Wait, what do you mean used to be? Like
they don't put electrolytes in their. I don't think they put electrolytes in Gatorade anymore. I think it's just like sugar.
Huh. That's weird. That's well, that just defeats the purpose. And then
I
they
saw something that was like saying how Gatorade isn't what it used to be. I don't remember exactly what it was talking about. It was something about the electrolytes.
That's so weird. That's literally what they're about.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a hydration drink.
But I don't know, dude.
I think like the sugar, it like gives you like short-term energy, as opposed
that's what they're trying to say.
As opposed to like electrolytes, which is like actually gonna hydrate you.
Yeah, no, that's odd. Honestly, I don't know. We'll have to see where Gatorade goes.
If you don't want to buy any sports drinks, just put like a pinch of sea salt in your water, 1.5 to 3.
There you go. Yeah.
I think 1.5 to 3 milligrams per liter.
Yeah, so if you're an athlete, you're wanting to athlete or student athlete. There you go. Student athlete. This is for student athletes.
Student athlete.
Put some salt in your water.
Sea salt.
Sea salt in your water.
Because it has
Wait, whoa. Sea salt?
Yeah, because it has potassium, magnesium. Look it up.
Okay. Right now?
If you want. go off rant on.
All right. I mean, hey, if you're watching or listening, look it up. See what you can do with that, because it can definitely help you out. Next game, we got our Steelers versus the Texans.
Yep.
You're a Steelers fan, so I'm gonna let you talk here.
What do you want me to talk about?
Well, I mean, this is easier for you to talk about.
We already ranted about Matt Canada yesterday and how coaching has an effect on the game.
Right.
I mean, Canada had a few good play calls last week. I wouldn't say the whole game. Yeah, I think it was a couple drives that he actually had good play calls.
Right.
And it kind of made everyone forget how bad he was. And, like, that's another thing, like, about fans is, they'll go off and, like, rant about someone for weeks.
Yep.
And then they'll have one good game. And then they'll be like, oh, he's good again. Let's just forget everything he's done.
I think, though, like, our Steelers fan base is, like, still, like, get him out of here.
Yeah. I have seen comments on the Steelers posts where they're like, no, we don't need to fire him anymore. I mean, if you want to give him, like, another week to see if he can keep up.
It's a recency bias thing.
Yeah.
That's exactly. Literally what it comes down to. What are you doing now? And a lot of these franchises, it's what are we going to do in the next 3 or 5 years? Whereas the Rams, it was what are we going to do this year, right? So
it's more of a, you need to be consistent.
It's a dichotomy. It's like you have the fans who are thinking like, now we want a Super Bowl now. You got, but that's which is contradicting to the franchises, teams, the organizations, who are like, hey, we want wins now. Right?
Yeah.
So
who doesn't?
Or not,
want
we
wins
not
now?
wins now, sorry. They want wins. They want to make sure they're a winning program forever. They want a dynasty. They don't want wins now. They They want a dynasty. If that means rebuilding, that means getting wins, getting not as much wins, but developing their players, then like the Steelers, they are heavily focused on developing their players rather than picking up already proven players out of the free market. Why do you think so? Do you think Omar Khan though is trying to pick up, trying to change that culture of just just only developing players? Do you think he's trying to like do a mix of that and like just be more flexible and more diverse in thoughts? What do you think? What do you think of Mark Khan's like whole? Do you think he's trying to change the culture of like Steelers always being that organization that just doesn't really care about free agency, doesn't really care about trading, just being more of a we're gonna draft. We drafted these guys. We scouted them. We did all this work to make sure that they were the player that we believed would help this team and impact this team either right away or down the line. And we will develop. And if they can't impact right away, we will develop them into the player that will impact this team. Even if they can't make an impact immediately, they will impact this team in some shape or some form. Do you believe that culture is kind of fading away? Do you believe he's just trying to keep that culture but also facilitate another culture? What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's trying to. He wants the players that they do the research for, and who was it last year? They drafted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you just gotta tell me a position.
I'm forgetting who I'm trying to.
Okay. Now I just gotta think of last year.
Go ahead. Talk about the Texans. I'll think about it.
Okay. So I'll go to the Texans. So Texans, man, I've been loving this offense. Like it's amazing. Their offensive line sucks. Horrible. They've lost Laremy Tunsil. Don't know how long. I think he might play on this game. I don't know. I didn't see the report. I saw a glimpse of it. But I think what CJ Stroud has shown us is he can play at that level he played in that Georgia-Ohio State game. It's just going to come down to how he handles the pressure. And with an O-line like this, he's going to learn quick how to handle that pressure. It's just going to come down to, does he actually learn from this experience, or does he just kind of like falter and fold when he's getting pressured? I did see him in week 1 just escaping the pocket way too fast because of the pressure, high pressure, because he was going up against who were they playing week 1? They were playing a team that was just pressuring them the whole game. I can't remember who they played week 1. They lost to him, obviously. But they were playing a team that was pressuring them consistently. And CJ Stroud just could not deal with it, could not handle it. And it was like, dude, you just have to just either stick in the pocket. Like, that was the thing. It was like, okay, yeah, I get it. You don't want to stick in the pocket if the pressure is always coming. But there is going to be times where the pressure is not there, and you need to simply stick in the pocket, stay in the pocket. That's what someone argued. One of these former QBs was like, it's nice and all that this new trend, this new like generation of quarterbacks is also like, here's like running, and like guys like Fran Tarkenton, Mike Vick, Randall Cunningham all kind of like started this, but now it's like you want your quarterback to be able to run. Problem is though, a lot of these running quarterbacks don't sit in that pocket. I think this was Mark Sanchez actually that brought this up. And a lot of these running quarterbacks just don't understand that idea of sticking in the pocket when you need to and finding that open receiver. And that is one of Justin Fields' problems. They found out last year that him running that much was just not going to work. Now they're trying to limit him from doing what he was doing. Like, yeah, he'll get individual stats, but he's not going to win. They want to win games, obviously, especially with this quarterback that they don't know if it's going to work out. They want to figure out if they can win games with this quarterback. And they figured out him running all that time is not going to work. So CJ Stroud, just if they figure out how to use him correctly, man, this could be a great offense. And Nico Collins showing up. I want Mechie to Alabama. I want Mechie to show up. I want to see if he can. They just haven't used him correctly yet either. And it will just come down to like consistently grabbing these pieces. This is a young team, consistently grabbing pieces and figuring out what's going to work, and then getting those veteran presences in the locker room. Because they kind of got rid of a lot of their veterans this offseason, and we'll have to see what they do. But I'm enjoying what they're doing as of now, but they still have some players to obtain and some work to be done. If their offense lights up, they could be good, but they're going up against one of the best defenses in the league. I mean, say what you will, they have allowed a lot of passing yards. Steelers have a lot of like passing yards, and they have a lot of rushing yards, but they keep the team in the game. They generate so many turnovers, like it is insane, and the defense pressure is always there. If it ain't Watt, it's Highsmith. If it ain't Highsmith, it's Cameron Hayward. I mean, Cameron Hayward's not here, but when he's back, it will be Cameron Hayward again. I mean, he'll like it's incredible how good this defensive line is.
Yeah, I feel like the Steelers have always have one of the top defenses. Like maybe not at the beginning of the season, but it's like we talked about by the end of the season when they heat up and like actually start playing how they should be playing. They're one of the top defenses.
I mean, it all started with Dick LeBeau, and the what's it called, the Blitzburg.
Yeah.
Like, it all started with him. But we'll have to see. I mean, you've seen the Steelers offense struggle against good defenses first 2 weeks, but then they were doing fine against the Raiders, right? So now that the Texans are playing, I think this is their first like top 5 defense they're playing against. Do they fold or do they falter? That's what it's going to come down to. I mean, it's looking like a lot of themes of this, like, unless you're in their division or in their conference, you're going to struggle against that good defense, right?
Yeah.
But like Cowboys didn't. But is it because their offense was good enough? So, I mean, it will probably come down to how good this Texans offense plays against Steelers defense. And it's going to come down to, can C.J. Stroud go through his progressions and avoid, making bad decisions? That's what it's going to come down to. And can T.J. Watt force turnovers? That's what's going to happen. Like, T.J. Watt's not going to have an all-pro left tackle probably, making sure, he doesn't get to the quarterback. So we'll have to see. Next game, we got Rams and Colts. Rams, one of those teams, very young. On paper, looks like garbage, but they've been playing like lights out. Like, it's amazing. They almost beat the Bengals. They're 1-2. So, like, you could have called that. But could you have called the way they did it? Probably not. The way they've been playing has been incredible. Man, I'm about to go to you.
Hi.
Rams and Colts. This is a weird game. Anthony Richardson's going to come back. Roll Tide.
What time did they play today?
Roll Alabama? I don't know. 3 or 6 maybe. Losing the spreads again. I don't know. It's going to come down to really how good.
+1 for the Rams.
+1 for the Rams. See, look at that. Even after the Colts played really good against what team did they play last week? The Ravens. They played so good against the Ravens last week, and yet they still have the under against the Rams team that's 1-2 and perceived as one of the worst teams in the NFL. But now, like, the Rams just have been cooking. Could have beat the Bengals last night. One bad call and they would have won. Not last night. Why did I say last night? It was Monday night.
Why'd you say last night?
I don't know.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Why would I ever say something like that? But no, like, I get why the Rams have the spread here. I understand it. But it will be a close game. And that's why it's what? +1?
+1, yep.
Yeah. No one really would have called Colts to be 2-1.
The
right
over
here.
and under is 45.5.
Wait. Say that number again.
The over and under is 45.5.
Yeah, so I think it will be like in the 20s for sure for these two teams. Not going to be offensive juggernauts, but definitely some well-rounded teams. Going up against it. Bucks Saints. Same thing. I mean, it's like division game with the Ravens and Browns. You don't really know what will come from it. Saints are starting Jameis Winston against a solid Bucks defense. And Alvin Kamara's back. So they're going from Derek Carr with Kendall Miller to Alvin Kamara and Jameis Winston. So complete change up in the backfield. So they probably changed up their offense. I mean, Dennis Allen, I don't remember who their offensive coordinator is off the top of my head. But Dennis Allen is going to have to change some things up. And I know he's a defensive mind, so I know. But if they can get Michael Thomas going, keep Chris Olave at the way he's playing. Oh, he's playing so amazing. I mean, someone has him in his top 10 players across the league going in his sophomore year. So that's awesome to see. I mean, he had 11 targets for 8 receptions and 104 yards last week against the Packers. He has 200 plus yard games this year.
Bucks are at a plus 3.5 for the game.
Wow, that probably comes with the fact that Derek Carr is not playing. That could be. I mean, Derek. Thankfully, he didn't suffer a crazy shoulder injury, so he should be back. But their pass defense kind of struggled when they were playing against what's his name? AJ Brown. So we could probably see Chris Olave go off in this game, especially if they have a 2-corner and both their corners got hurt. Both the Buccaneers corners got hurt, so I don't know if either of them are playing, but that's crucial when Saints have Chris Olave. Raheem Shaheed's has been going off. So if Antoine Winfield isn't on his game, they could go deep against them a lot. And Michael Thomas can be in the short game. So, I mean, I think the Saints could win this if Jameis Winston just makes good decisions and doesn't do what Jameis Winston thinks. And he's playing against this old team where when he was on that old team, 30 touchdowns, 30 interception seasons, looking like Brett Favre out there throwing, well, not like Brett Favre, but you know what I mean, like throwing way too many interceptions, just being risky. But if he plays, hey man, he can do good. I mean, he brought the Saints into field goal area. They just missed the field goal against the Packers. Yeah, I mean, another defense that could possibly change the game in the Buccaneers defense. And Saints defense been playing good too. Don't get me wrong. But these teams kind of seem even to me. And they both are 2-1. So we'll have to see. Do you have any thoughts on that game? Anything? Not really?
No. Nothing I can think of.
I mean, it's just Michael Evans been playing top 10 worthy too. We'll have to see if he can perpetuate that and continue it. Hopefully he does, and which is crazy. It's looking like he's going to get another 1,000-yard. I mean, he should be going to the Hall of Fame. I think he will, but we'll have to see. Commanders, Eagles. This is the game we were talking about. This could be the upset.
Plus 8.5 for the Commanders.
Right. So that they're really undermining Commanders here, especially after that 4 interception game from Mr. Shamhow. What do you think? Do you think this is upset worthy?
The Commanders are always the team
that
are causing upsets.
Right.
Because you never expect it from,
No.
you know? Speaking of Alabama, Jalen Hurts, Roll Tide.
So, yeah, Devonta Smith, who's been, man, I shouldn't have bet on him last game, did not get the ball at all.
Yep.
Felt like.
That's usually how it goes.
When the Bucks corners were both hurt. But I digress. This game is going to be weird. Because you're like, oh, Sam Howell, 4 interceptions last week. Commanders defense kind of playing rough. Defensive line's been playing really good, which was expected. But Emmanuel Forbes been playing really good too. Their new corner, safety play. I mean, it's not like they're playing horrible, but this Eagles offense might mow through them. But again, like we said, we don't know how these divisional games go, especially with the Commanders. This could be the upset game, but it is at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. So
that really would be an upset.
Do you think, huh?
That would be an even bigger upset.
Yeah, yes, it would. That would be insane.
Right.
If they were to pull this game off. Can you imagine? 3 years in a row. I can't remember if Steelers were the undefeated team 2020. Can you look that up for me? I can't remember if they were undefeated in 2020. I can't quite remember that. I don't know if it was the Cardinals or Steelers, because. And can you look up the Cardinals? What does it say?
2020, they were 11-0.
Yes. Okay. Can you look up the 2019 season? Can you go Cardinals 2020 or 2019 schedule on like Pro Football Reference or something, and tell me who was the team that ended their undefeated season? Because it's crazy how 2 years in a row they are the team to kill off an undefeated. 2 years in a row, kill off undefeated teams. In which it's significant because right now there's only 3 undefeated teams. Last year there was about 6. So.
Oh, I actually found a Wikipedia page that has last undefeated team by season. So last year, or 2021, it was the Arizona Cardinals, and their first loss was to Green Bay.
Okay, that was last year? No, 2 years ago. Okay, yeah, so Steelers were before the Cardinals. I was forgetting about 2021. So, yes, I was right about that earlier. So, yeah, Cardinals 2020. You said the Green Bay Packers. Huh. I thought it was a worse team.
Last year, Philadelphia Eagles lost to the Commanders.
Yep.
Year before that,
Steelers.
It was Green Bay. And then Steelers lost to Washington.
In what year? Okay, and then 2021 was Cardinals and Green Bay.
Yeah. 2019, there was 2 undefeated teams.
Yes.
San Francisco 49ers and New England Patriots. San Francisco lost to Seattle. And
rival.
New England lost to Baltimore.
Yeah. Also play out like a playoff rival right there. Baltimore always has New England figured out, it feels like, especially in the playoffs.
Also, I figured out why I was thinking 2017 for the Steelers.
Why?
They beat Kansas City in 2017.
And that was Alex Smith, right? That was before Patrick Mahomes, I believe. So, yeah, I mean, and I don't think Steelers were that good that year, right? I might be tripping.
Let's see.
I can't remember.
2017 Pittsburgh Steelers.
They were good the year before, but I don't remember that year.
How do I pull it up?
Yeah, I mean, the concept goes behind these teams that are just higher up, they get ahead of themselves and they think, oh, we can beat any team. But then it comes down to, don't undermine this team.
2017.
They're in the NFL for a reason.
They were 13-3 in 2017.
Okay, so that was their good year. Wow. Steelers?
Yeah, they lost the divisional playoffs to Jaguars.
Yeah, I remember that year.
First in the AFC.
Well, the Jaguars would end up going to the conference championship that year and lose to the Patriots, which was that was a really good Jaguars team led by Blake Bortles.
That was a good Steelers team.
Good Steelers team, and then they lose in the playoffs.
Bell, Brown.
You know, I was happy when that happened, by the way.
Villanueva. Forgot about him.
Alejandro Villanueva.
Let's see. They lost to the Chicago Bears, Jacksonville Jaguars, and the New England Patriots.
Patriots one makes sense. The other two does not. Wait, Jaguars, you said?
Yeah, Jacksonville.
They lost them twice that year?
Nope, just once. This is 2017 when they beat Kansas City to end their undefeated season.
But I'm saying, like,
Oh, yeah, in the playoffs.
Who lost in the regular season and playoffs?
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Remember the one year the Bengals lost to the Jets? Or they beat the Jets. They lost to the Jets in regular season, lost their spot in the playoffs, and then they had to play the Jets again. Lost to a Mark Sanchez Jets. It really goes to show, like, some of these teams have other teams figured out, even if they're not better than them. Bengals Titans. This game I feel like goes to the Bengals. I just that Titans offense is scaring me.
We know you love the Bengals. You love the zebra cake jerseys.
Zebra cake. Man, the Bengals have been disappointing me a lot.
Joe Burrow has been a very big disappointment lately.
What is that about? I don't. Is it that
He got his
contract?
money.
That
and he's
contract,
like,
yeah.
Okay.
All right. It don't matter no more.
Time to become the backup.
Please don't, because their backup sucks. They have one of the worst QB rooms in the league.
I mean, think about that though. Like, if you were, I mean, I understand. Like, you would want to play. I don't know. Maybe you don't.
Wow, listen to this.
What?
30th and 31st offenses in the league.
Wow.
Their defenses are both like mid, like decent, like.
So it's gonna be a mid game, is what you're saying?
Yeah, but.
Let's see what the odds are at.
Yeah, look at the odds.
Plus 2.5 for the Titans.
Yeah, that's what I expect the Bengals to win this game. I just think whenever a wide receiver has the same amount of touchdowns as your QB going into week 4, that is a problem. And I get it. They like to run in the red zone. That's just kind of like something. What is his name? Oh my gosh. Why am I blinking? I hate this. I hate when I do this. I blink so often. Mike Vrabel. Holy crap. Mike Vrabel, that's just something he likes to do in the red zone, is run the ball with Derrick Henry, or I guess now Tajay Spears, which will get the ball more often now. And that's making Derrick Henry owners pretty mad. He had 2 points last week because Tajay Spears is getting the ball more as a rookie, which I like Tajay Spears coming out of was it Tulane? No, it was UAB. No. It was Tulane. Coming out of Tulane, I liked him, and I think he went in the 4th round or something. A lot of good backs in this draft, very underrated backs. Dwayne McBride to the Vikings, which I guess they don't like him right now. You had Jahmyr Gibbs, obviously, and Bijan Robinson. Jahmyr Gibbs, Roll Tide. Yeah. And then what's his name? Devon A-Chain. Of course you did.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you, boys and girls? Why wouldn't you? Pick him up.
51 points. I mean, could just be a fluke.
Probably is, but no,
Well,
Devon A-Chain.
He's definitely
is
not
that
going
guy.
to get 51 points.
They picked him up for a reason. Probably, I think he's the fastest back in that class, and they decided that was a good idea to pick him up. But yeah, I think the Bengals win that game. I think Joe Burrow has a decent game. I think Jamar Chase goes back to Jamar Chase. I just think this Tennessee offense is just struggling more than this Bengal offense really will be, and especially because this Bengals defense can play good ball, and we saw it against the Rams. And this Rams O-line that was playing pretty good kind of struggled against the Bengals. So I think if the Bengals can keep that pressure up and against the worst O-line in the league, in my opinion, they'll be fine. And especially if Ryan Tannehill keeps struggling, they will probably move to Malik Willis or Will Levis down the road. I'm just going to go a little bit quicker here. My laptop's about to die.
Uh-oh. Are you still recording?
I have 4 games. We have 4 games we're going to talk about. We're going to avoid Monday night.
Do a speed round.
Little speed run here. Chargers-Raiders, division game. Both coaching sucks. So we're going to have a coaching fiasco. to end that game. It's gonna be close. Both 1 and 2.
+5
What's
for
the
the
spread?
Raiders.
+5 for the Raiders, who Jimmy G probably not playing that game. So that makes sense that it's +5. Boy, better quarterback in this. Aiden O'Connell might get the start. We'll see where they're at. I think Jimmy had a concussion. I think he's in the protocol. But I think this definitely goes to the Chargers if they play their cards right. But like we said, division games can go any way. New England, Dallas, going to be a low-scoring game for sure. I think Bill Belichick is going to show off the defense, and what he does very well is letting them go with the short stuff, keeping the explosive plays down, and when it gets to the red zone, you are not scoring the ball. And here's your 3 points. Now we're going to go try and score a touchdown. But Mac Jones kind of struggling. It's kind of been rough. But maybe the Patriots offense gets something going with Zeke and Juju. Something started sparks or something. Just hasn't been there. Ramondre Stevenson hasn't been there. O-line's just still playing not as good as they'd want. But we'll have to see how that game goes. It's going to be definitely short, low-scoring game for both teams. Arizona 49ers. This is another game that could go any way, in my opinion. We saw what they did against the Cowboys. We saw what they've done against the Giants and the Commanders. Like they can go toe-to-toe with any team in this league, in my opinion. And they have, like I said, not the greatest roster, inexperience, new coach, defensive coach at that. And have you seen the videos with Jonathan Gannon? The one where he's greeting Buda Baker. Just so awkward. He's such an awkward guy. He's just like, he doesn't look relatable to any of the guys in the locker room. Like he's like just like so awkward, and he just like doesn't look like a leader. Just looks like, oh yeah, I can coordinate a defense, but I can't lead. But I mean, he showed he can do it against the Cowboys. So, and it's funny because in the Super Bowl when if you didn't know this, Jonathan Gannon, the head coach of the Cardinals, was the defensive coordinator of the Eagles in the Super Bowl. And what happened in the Super Bowl? What did we see? Their red zone defense sucked against the Chiefs' like offensive prowess. And they just scored two touchdowns on the same exact play in the red zone. They were, oh my gosh, Jonathan Gannon, Shane Steichen, best coordinator duo in the league, and yet Jonathan Gannon in the Super Bowl was doing bad stuff in the red zone. But against the Cowboys, 5 times they went to the red zone, could not score a touchdown. So definitely showed he improved in that aspect, and hopefully that stays the same with him. And this game could be feisty, honestly, and I'm excited to watch that game. Last game, which is going to be the snooze fest, not because both teams suck, but because one team will absolutely dominate the other, and that is the Chiefs-Jets game. I think we see Zach Wilson struggle again against a fast defense that will be able to adjust to like his eyes and just be able to read it and just run to the ball and get there, because he's not tricking anybody with his progressions, and I think the Chiefs defense will just hold up, and he'll have too much pressure, too much. Jets O-line still not playing how they'd want it, but of course we kind of expected that coming into the season. They just have to get a tackle in the draft for Aaron Rodgers next year, and I think this comes down to, do you think if Zach Wilson plays rough, they go get another quarterback, or do you think they go with Trevor Siemian, who they just signed to the practice squad?
Hey, they got Colin Kaepernick lining up for them.
I knew you'd bring that up. Yeah, that Colin Kaepernick thing is crazy. I don't know if I want to get into it because my laptop's about to die. But
let's just say he wrote a whole essay.
Let's just say they gave him a bunch of money to kind of screw off, and he wants back. And they're like, dude, we gave you this money so you wouldn't come back because you were tarnishing the NFL brand by comparing it to slavery in a sense, which is outlandish.
He literally did.
I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go into politics, but it's just on a humanities aspect.
It's not even a political thing.
It's just it is. Well,
there was a video.
I know, but it's a political stunt. It kind of just like tries to like.
I mean, the whole kneeling thing, that's a political stunt, but not. I don't think. But that's not what this is about. It's about the slavery video that he made.
Yeah, that video, I just like it feels dividing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't it feel like divisive? Like it just, and people are gonna be like, oh yeah, that's just. I don't want to get into that.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into that.
Okay, I can see how it could get political.
Yeah, you see how it can get political?
Yeah.
It's very racial, political nonsense that's just like, it's like, it gets to a point where this is football. Like like there is a business aspect to it, but it's business.
Yeah, they're getting paid millions of dollars.
It's business. If you want to compare business to slavery, go ahead. But if that's what you're going for, sure, whatever. But this is a business. NFL teams are going to do with that whole running back thing that happened and that's been happening. It's business. That's what's causing it to not. It's business versus ethics.
They want to do what makes them win. What makes them the best.
They're going to go with the analytics that says, hey, after the first 4 years, this running back is not going to be the same running back they were when they first came to the league because they're already deteriorated based on all the play and all the stuff that they experience when playing in their position. So, I don't know. I think Jets will go with Trevor Siemian next week probably after this game where they see and it sucks because there's going to be a lot of Jets primetime games and no Aaron Rodgers. And that's probably what they were expecting when they scheduled all these Jets primetime games. But anyways, I don't know if we have to really talk about the Chiefs because we know how that game's going to go. The Chiefs are just going to blow through them. I think they show that they are the dominant team there, and I don't think they struggle at all.
Yeah, plus
I know they struggled week 1, but
for the Jets.
I know the wide receiver thing stuff. But you said plus what?
Plus 8.5 for the Jets.
That's kind of where I see it. We'll see. What was the Broncos? What did it say Broncos? Plus what for
Broncos?
Plus what for the Bears? I'm pretty sure it'd be for the Bears.
Plus 3.5 for the Bears.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. But yeah, I'd bet the over on this game. Honestly, I think the Chiefs beat them by more than just a possession. Honestly, so we'll have to see how that when it turns out. Maybe the Jets defense plays pretty good and they keep the Jets in this game, and that's how it's going to be all year. It's going to be Jets defense having to keep them in the game. We'll have to see. But if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, please like and subscribe on YouTube, and we would.